There we go. Okay, come to your comfortable seat. And so one of the reasons why I really like this request this morning is because it's actually a really great core exercise and quad exercise to prep us for this coming season of outdoor activity, but it's also a really great grounding exercise, which is what we've been focusing on. So take a moment here to ground. Feel your sitting bones and feel the length through your spine. And draw shoulders up and back. You can keep your gaze at the ground for a moment and simply take an inhale and exhale in and out of the nose with a little extra emphasis on the exhale. Think of inhaling to sit taller and exhaling to root down to ground. Take this breath a couple more times, and if you want to, you can always close your eyes. Sometimes I think it's nice to just keep my gaze down. And as you take the next couple breaths, really press out with your exhale. And as you press out with the exhale, press down through your legs and sitting bones. And now connect hands together at heart center and let your eyes close. Take a full, big, deep breath right here and let yourself lift up on the inhale, root down on the exhale, and then tune into an intention for yourself today. Whatever that happens to be, that can be something having to do with compassion or gratitude or grounding. You can always use what our theme is. And on your next exhale, bow toward your heart. Then softly opening your eyes, release your hands down and walk your hands out to your knees and start gentle movement through the spine. We've done this a bit this week as we focus on noticing and feeling the sensations that are present. So take a moment as you inhale and draw your belly and heart forward, and exhale, press your spine back to notice where through your body you're feeling something. No right or wrong answer, but see if you can pinpoint where it is and maybe what the intensity is of that sensation. One more full breath in this cat and cow. And now as you sit tall, press your hands down into your legs, giving yourself that little bit of extra grounding. Lengthen your sides, draw shoulders up and back, and then just a little movement with your head and neck. Right ear to right shoulder, take a full breath. Exhale, chin drops down, full breath. Inhale, left ear to left shoulder, full breath. Exhale, chin drops down, keep your shoulder blades engaged, shake your head no toward the ground. And then lift your gaze a little toward the ceiling, chin lifts, and shake your head no toward the ceiling. And then back into center now, switch the cross of your legs, coming to the less comfortable cross for yourself here. Move sitting bones. And then we'll get a little bit more into that movement through the spine. So exhale and press your spine back. Inhale, circle ribs out to the left side, all the way around the front, and exhale back on the right. Two more on this side, full inhale, long, deep exhale, as you again notice what's there. Notice what the sensations are. Notice where they are. Then on your next inhale, circle around to the right side and exhale back on the left. 2 more on this side. Full deep inhale. Long full exhale. Then come back to a neutral place for your spine. Again, hands press into your legs right at your hip creases. Press down. You can even add a little bit of movement here through your pelvis if you would like. Shoulders lift up and back. Take a moment here to take ear to shoulder, ear to shoulder. And then as you come back to a neutral place for your spine, we're going to take whatever we're sitting on out and bring footprints to the floor in front of us. And we'll do a couple of movements here, starting to allow a little action through the core. So hands come behind you, and as you press your hands down into the ground, you're rooting down through your feet and begin to lift up and open through the chest. Your hips stay planted, but now as you tilt your belly toward your legs, start to engage the low belly and the ribs, but keep the tilt forward of your pelvis. So it's almost like we're about to lift up into a tabletop, but we're not. A little hug in with your legs as if you were hugging onto a block or something. Take another big breath here, trying to keep that engagement through the core, even as you're lifting up and open through the chest. Good, and now rise all the way back up, feet come together into a butterfly, or you can always move your feet a little further away into more of that diamond shape. And now take an inhale and sit tall. Exhale and hinge a little forward, little bit of a forward fold here, not a huge one because it's the first one of the day. Inhale, rise back up, and exhale, hinge a little forward. One more time, inhale, rise back up, and exhale, forward. Inhale, rise back up, footprints to the floor. And now this time we're gonna add a little extra core work. So hands behind, and as you press down with your hands, you're lifting up and open through your chest, shoulder blades engage, tilt your belly towards your legs, and engage the low part of your belly, engage your ribs, and now rise up onto your tiptoes. As you rise up to your tiptoes, that changes the dynamic just a little bit. Hug in with the muscles of your legs, lift your chest, take a big breath, and maybe make your toes really light on the ground. Maybe keep them pressing a little bit more if that's intense. Full breath. Good, and then set your feet down. Rise back up with your torso and soles of feet to come together. And again, it can be close or far away, depending on how your body feels right now. Really, it depends on the day. So now, hands behind or hold on to your shins, maybe peace fingers on big toes. Take a big inhale, sit tall. Exhale, take that hinge to your degree. Inhale, sit tall. And exhale, hinge. One more time, full inhale and full exhale. And now inhale, sit tall, and we're going to do one more variation here. As you bring your hands behind you, lift your chest, shoulder blades engage, belly tilts towards your legs, engage the low belly and the ribs, and now rise up to tiptoes, take a big breath, and still think of your belly moving towards your legs and core engagement. And now lift your right foot. If that's in your practice, you can keep it down here if you'd like to. Take a big breath. And set your foot back down. And inhale, lift your left foot. Yeah, good. Belly towards your legs, full breath. And then release your foot back down. And now, lifting up with your torso, soles of feet come together. This time, bring them out a little ways so you have that diamond shape. And then you can always have something underneath your knees here if that feels better in your body. But take an inhale and lift up tall. And exhale, hinge towards your legs as deeply as your body's ready for it. You might reach out and hold your feet. You might stay up a little higher with hands at your legs. You might stay up all the way. But we'll hold this for a couple big breaths. And then inhale, rise all the way back up and make a little space so you can bring your feet to the outside edges of your mat and even off your mat here. Press down with hands behind you. Press down with your sitting bones and lift your chest. And now flex your feet, toes pull back towards your knees, and then start to pivot on your heels. And as you pivot on your heels, working a little bit more through the hip socket, moving a little bit more through the lower spine, but you get to really tune into what the right movement for you is. That action of your feet helps to maintain some stability for ankles and knees. One more time on each side. And now back up to center. And now we're going to come around to our hands and knees just long enough to set up. Wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. Rotate elbow pits forward and push. Then tuck toes under, lift hips up and back, downward facing dog pose. And then pause for a moment in your down dog. Let your gaze settle on a point on the floor. And then take a few moments to move. And as you move, notice whatever the sensations are, what's present, what's there for you. And then walk your way forward, coming into your forward fold. Feel free to use your blocks to help you get there. As you come into your forward fold, feet are inner hip distance or wider. Wider sometimes is a little easier on the low back. Little bend to your knees, take an inhale and lengthen part way. Heart forward, sitting bones lift. Exhale and fold over your legs. Hands to hips. Press back on hips, start to lift up and open through the shoulders and rise all the way up to stand. And then from your standing position, set yourself up. Look at your feet. Set them up to inner hip distance apart and parallel. So think from second toe back to the middle of the ankle. Those two lines get to be parallel. And then lift and spread your toes. And as you root, bend your knees, squeeze your glutes, and push into the floor with your toes. And now this time, lift and spread your toes, bend your knees, squeeze your glutes, push with your toes and your heels. Notice that push. One more time, bend your knees, lift and spread your toes. I know I said one more time last time. Feel both toes and heels as you push. Okay, now sun salutation A, lunging salutation. Inhale, stretch up overhead. Exhale, bend knees, fold over your legs. Inhale, lengthen part way, lift your heart. Exhale and fold. Plant fingertips, step your right foot back into your lunge. And this is a hatha version of our sun salutation. So bring your back knee to the ground, center with your hips, push into the ground to lift your chest and rise. You can reach, you can come to gratitude or hands at your hips. You decide. But find that centering action and engage the core. Low belly and ribs engage. Take an inhale, reach a little higher. Exhale, hands come down to the front of your mat, and you're gonna step back either to hands and knees or downward facing dog pose, your choice. Take a big breath. And now inhale, come forward into your plank pose. Feel free to use knees here if you'd like, but ideally knees are back behind your hips if you're using them. Rotate elbow pits forward and push, and then extend further forward through your front. Bend elbows and lower down all the way to your belly. Walk your hands back by your ribs, and before you do anything else, lift up through the shoulders. And now send your breath into your belly. And now this time, as you expand your belly on your inhale, use your exhales to engage through the core. Draw in with your belly and your ribs. Now inhale, as you expand your belly, curl open as high as your body is ready for. Shoulders are up and back and broad. Exhale, hands and knees or downward facing dog pose, your choice. Take a full breath. And now stepping right foot forward, you might use a block or two to help yourself get there. And then bring your back knee down to the ground again. Again, this is a hatha variation of our sun salutation A. So wrap your right hip back and start to push with your feet into the ground to lift up. And as you lift up, lengthening, take a couple big breaths here. Full deep inhale, long full exhale. And then next exhale, hands come down to the front of your mat. Inhale, lift your back knee and step forward. Exhale, fold over your legs. Pause for a moment in your fold. Inhale, lengthen partway, hands up above your knees, and walk your hands all the way up your legs to rise up. Now, as you come all the way up to stand here, turn your palms forward, reaching through your fingertips, lift up and open through your shoulders. Lengthen the back of your neck. Full deep breath. Inhale, stretch up overhead. Exhale, bend knees to fold over your legs. Inhale, lengthen part way. Exhale and fold. Plant fingertips, step left foot back into your lunge, this time knee up or down, your choice. Center with your hips and inhale, rise. Coming up to that lifted lunge place for our sun salutation. And take a big breath as you engage the core. Low belly, low ribs draw in. Next exhale, hands come down to the front of your mat and step back to either hands and knees or downward facing dog pose, your choice. Full breath. Inhale, come forward into your plank. Again, knees are an option. Push with your hands to expand the back. And now expand the front. Draw your ribs and collarbones more forward. Belly toned, bend elbows and lower down. Inhale, curl up and open into your cobra as high as you need. Use your breath. Your inhales expand you. Your exhales help you engage the core. Next exhale, downward facing dog pose. And now looking forward, step your left foot forward. And again, you can always use your blocks or be on your knees to step your left foot forward. Inhale, reach up and rise, coming to your lifted lunge, back knee up or down, center with your hips and settle into that front knee. Big breath. Next exhale, hands come down to the front of your mat. Inhale, step forward and lift your heart up part way. Exhale and fold. Hands to hips. Press back on hips, lift shoulders up and back, and inhale, rise. Exhale, release your hands, reaching through fingertips, lengthening from feet to crown. Okay, so now we're going to move over to the wall for a little wall sit, which was the request. So grab your blocks if you have them. If you don't, that's okay. This still works. So you're going to move over to the wall. And I find it's important not to have socks on. You can always have your mat underneath you if that helps. But if you are comfortable with your feet on the ground and not slipping, you can do that. So now, feet are inner hip distance apart and parallel. And you're going to walk them forward with your back against the wall, to about a 90-degree angle with your legs. Block in between your legs, block in between your hands. Arms out straight in front of you. As you push your hands into the blocks, draw shoulder blades onto your back. Now, tilt your pelvis so that your sitting bones are trying to move toward the wall. Squeeze your glutes and your low belly. Draw your ribs toward the wall, but keep a lumbar curve so you have space there where you might be able to put your hands. Head back, take a full breath. And then push into the ground, walk your feet back in, and give yourself a rest for a moment. So again, this is a great core activity, and that core actually includes quads. We have some core supporting muscles, quads, hamstrings, back muscles help, all sorts of things. Glutes are helpful. So as we work through this time, I'm a little out of breath. Again, you can use blocks if you want to or not. If you decide to put the blocks aside, which I'm going to do this time, then you imagine you have the blocks and you hug into those blocks. But the knees don't come into touch. You just hug in and keep hugging into the midline, okay? So feet inner hip distance apart and parallel, back against the wall, and then walk your feet out. Coming to that 90-degree-ish place, and then hug like you're hugging onto a block. Push into the floor with your feet. Tilt your pelvis, and then engage the low belly, the ribs, arms forward. Hug into your block, plug in with the shoulder blades, head back. Take a big breath. Two more. And then push into the floor with your feet and walk your way back up. Wall sits, yay. So come on back to your mat. And then from feet inner hip distance apart and parallel, lift and spread your toes and then push them down. Inhale, stretch up overhead. Exhale, bent knees, fold over your legs. Pause, let your head hang, and take a big breath. And then plant your hands, step all the way back, downward facing dog pose, deep breath. And now knees down, hips come to or toward your heels, child's pose. And as you let your head rest down, maybe let your eyes close. And notice from here what the sensations are that are present, where they are. And then gently push yourself up to a seat and all the way back down onto your sitting bones. And now we're going to make our way all the way onto our backs. And now from your back, make sure you have all of your props. And from here, lay all the way down. We're going to get a full body stretch in first. So reach out through your heels, reach through your arms overhead, and take a couple big breaths as you reach, thinking of letting your low back lift a little. And then bend your knees, drop knees in together to touch and come to cactus here with your arms. As you come to cactus, your palms are up and a little turning of your head here, a little side to side movement. And now the movement and stretch through the quads. So feet walk even wider. And then engage your feet as you take knees side to side. And as you take knees side to side, pause on each side and let that opposite hip lift and reach out through your thigh. One more on each side. And now as you come back up to center with your knees, pause and notice what would feel really good in your body. So take that last free pose of your choice, whatever it happens to be. If it's something like a spinal twist that has two sides, then be sure to take 3 to 5 breaths on each side before switching. Or if it's something like a happy baby pose, where you're holding that position of knees wide, feet toward the ceiling, holding onto your legs, then you're going to take about 10 breaths there. So wherever that is for you, really think about what it is that would help you be able to settle more into the ground. Maybe that's a restorative bridge pose with a prop underneath your hips. Again, be sure you've taken the second side if you're taking something that has two sides. And then start to make your way into a really comfortable resting pose. The invitation here is that maybe you bring your blanket over your hips and belly for a little bit of extra grounding. But as always, that's an option, not a requirement. Take a few moments to set up. And even think of those few moments as an opportunity to make those little movements, those little shifts to make it feel more comfortable. And then give yourself permission to let go of moving, to find stillness. Begin to take a deeper breath. And gently add movement into fingers, into toes. And as you're ready to, bend your knees and roll over to your side. And then gently press yourself back up to your seat. Hands coming together at heart center. Eyes can either be gently open or closed. Take a moment to feel your breath and feel whatever sensations are present. Have a very peaceful, beautiful rest of your day. Namaste.